Hi, welcome. Welcome to my home. Come through. My name is Sarah Hersham. I am an interior designer and I make lampshades. All the lampshades that you see around the house are designed by me. I call them rude lampshades because when they're turned off, they look like jewellery for houses, and when they're turned on, they make everybody look beautiful when they're sitting next to them. Definitely I like the low light. I think it's more romantic, more gentle, and it looks just as beautiful off as it does on. So during the day it looks fantastic, and at night time it just gives the whole room a really beautiful glow. If you have the most beautiful home but you don't light it properly, then it's just can be just as. So lighting is very important, and I with all the interiors that I design, I always have 4 different circuits of lighting: wall lighting, table lighting, and plant lighting. This is the sitting room, and at the moment, because it's very, very hot, I'm sorry for that, everybody sits on the floor and it's very, very relaxed. And at the moment I have a beautiful parasol in here, but it changes, it's not always like this. This room is a new room for us. This I call the Projector Room because of the World Cup. It was my excuse to get a projector screen. So this is really our cinema. And it's a very cool room, and obviously it's all painted black, but now the World Cup's finished, we just watch normal television or DVDs. And it's a great place for me and my friends or my kids just to hang out in. It was very, very dark before. It was actually chocolate brown, but because of the projector and cinema, it just made sense to make everything black. The Marilyn Monroe wallpaper is one of the wallpapers that I design, and it's just a Warhol, as you know, Marilyn Monroe Warhol in black and silver. It just goes very well in this cinematic film noir. I also absolutely adore this picture here. This is a James Wedge Beaver nude picture from the famous shop Bieber from the 70s, and this picture used to be displayed on all the buses that went around London, and in the 70s it was very risky and the government told them, no, you've got to take it down, so they weren't actually allowed to use it on the buses. Primarily I chose to live in this neighbourhood because my children go to school around here, and second of all it's very near to my favourite antique market that I buy most of the artefacts and furniture for my clients, called Alfie's Market. And third of all, this is the only communal garden square in this area, and it was just so lovely to find this house. And I was influenced by Poiret, the designer from the 1920s. He used to make the most amazing coats and jackets and things, but he was obsessed by blossom trees, so I painted blossom trees up my house. I've lived here about 7 years now. When I first bought the house, it was 4 flats, and I renovated it from top to bottom, and I just painted everything white, including the floorboards and the walls and everything, so it was like a perfect backdrop for me to start layering, which I like to do. Before we go up, I'd like you to see my Emmanuel, as in the film Emmanuel Corner. So. This is the Emmanuel Corner, and it doesn't have any ceiling, so it's a double aspect room, because when the builders were working here, they called me to say that the floorboards here were rotten, and so I thought, who needs a landing? So we've got a double aspect room. It's beautiful. Gives more light and air to the place. I found these chairs in a market in Islington, and they were outside the shop, and I was driving and I saw them and I completely fell in love with them. Although you can find peacock chairs, you can't find peacock chairs as beautiful as this. These are really exceptional, and I've got a feeling that or I like to think, that they are the original Emmanuel chairs from the film. actually go upstairs. On this floor, I have 3 teenage children, so I think just for everyone's sake, I'll spare you of that. This is my attic bedroom and bathroom in one room. I've always loved the idea of having a bath in your bedroom. It just sort of seems the right thing to do, really, especially when you've got friends in your room. One of you can be in the bath and one of you can be chatting on the bed. This is a jacuzzi bath, but I've sort of dollied it up so it doesn't look like a regular nasty plastic bath, but it's fantastic. Bubbling, relaxing. These Indian screens I found in Portobello Market, and I've got all my clothes behind there, hidden away, big mess. And I love my bedroom. I get changed here, put my makeup on, get ready to go out, and here, I spend time here. I've put some Indian screens on the windows because that obviously it faces the street, so it's not as private as the other side, which faces a communal garden. This is totally private. So I just put the same Indian screens, and I made the cupboards on the window, so it gives me a bit more privacy. Now I'll show you the toilet. This wallpaper that looks like lace, I designed with the Parisian wallpaper house Zuba. I think it's very effective. It does the trick. It looks like lace. My sink, which is, again, I think it's like 1920s or 1930s sink. It's very special. I found this in an antique shop. And I put this tin just to hide the base of it. I made this tin and hung beads from it. This toilet here is, again, very old, characterful, charming toilet. Most of it's antique, but not antique in a way that one has to be careful and precious with it. It's antique in a very sort of shabby, chic, faded elegance way. So it's easy to live with. I don't want anything pretentious in my house. I don't want to worry about anything. Too many worries in the world, but not in your house, if you know what I mean. This balustrade I commissioned to be made, and I wanted it to be resembling like a Parisian lift shaft. This is my kitchen. It's very practical and it's very rustic and very homely. This is a refectory table, very old, antique, made of one piece of wood. Got just the most fantastic character to it. All the old people chopping on it, and so it's just fantastic. This will go with me until I think the day I die. These chairs, again, fantastically practical. Because of this tapestry that's on them. So if anybody spills anything on them, it doesn't matter. It just adds to their charm, which I like. So everything's very practical and easygoing here. When I came to this house, this room was a bedroom. So I opened the chimney up and I found that lovely chimney piece here. And this was actually terracotta. So I stuck it up there and painted it white, same as the kitchen, and it looks like a chimney hole. This is my sink, which I found in a reclamation yard called CN Park. And I think at one time it must have been some sort of washing vessel for clothes or something like that. I think that I'd always like to use London as my base to live. I used to travel a lot buying things for people's houses, but now I find there's so much in London that I can literally just get in the car and drive for 20 minutes and I can create a whole house with things from all over the world. So it's very important for me to be in London, and I know London really well, and I know where I can find everything. I've lived here all my life. My family lives here. My friends live here. I feel obviously very at home here. I know the city very well. English people are very friendly, very warm. Most of the English people that I know anyway aren't pretentious. And you can just go around being who you are. If you're a little eccentric, it's okay. You know, whatever style or character you have, everyone accepts you for what you are. I think that's why so many good things of style come out of this country, because we kind of all accept each other for who we are. Straight through here is my panelled room. This is my gilded, antique, gessoed, fibrous plaster panelled rooms. I design these panels for my clients. They're made of fibrous plaster, and I can obviously make them in any shape or size, and I can either put mirrors in them or not. For example, this way, they're hidden cupboards, but when they're closed, it just looks like a panelled room. So it's my petit Versailles. And I use this room as a dining room, and also I use it to make my lampshades in, because this is the most fantastic storage cupboard imaginable. In here it's got all my beads and ribbons and everything I need for my lampshades. Through here is my office. This is where I do my paperwork and my designing, and obviously my computer, my printer. My printer's hidden away. So really, when I think about it, unfortunately, because this is a lower ground floor, I spend more time in this floor than any other floor. I suppose I just like to collect. I think I'm really good at finding things and creating things that work together, and that creates another look. So I do like the French look, of course, but I like the Italian as well. But I suppose I just like mixing things together, and I think I'm good at making things work together. Thank you very much. Lovely to meet you. Have a lovely time. Bye. Okay, bye.
Good morning. Hi, welcome to my house. Come on in. This is where I live. It used to be a chapel many years ago. I don't particularly like the way chapels look, so I decided I would convert it and take all the references to chapel away, apart from this one little area where a friend of mine did a photograph of Kate Moss, and so I thought she's probably the only person I'd put inside that little niche. Down here, I started working a long time ago with an English artist called Damien Hirst, and we did a restaurant called Pharmacy together. And these were some of the windows we did for that restaurant, which I really like. And then the rest of the house is a big space, basically one big open room. And this is how I like to live. I like to live so that my whole life is lived in one space. We cook, I sleep up at the top. It's all in one room. And I don't like dividing rooms off. I think people live better in a single open space. It helps that I live on my own. If I had to live with other people, that might be more difficult. I'm not an interior designer. We have interior designers who work alongside me, many of them. I'm fascinated by interior design, but we're architects first and foremost. And so the difference really is that I think an architect is to do with arranging of space and creating of masses and volumes. In this house, I was talking to my interior designer. We have an interior designer who works for us, and I wanted to work with her on how to do the shape of the kitchen. And so I knew I wanted it to be monumental and sculptural. I really want to live in a place that's a single kitchen, come sitting room and everything, but I didn't want to have a cooker in the room. So I designed this, and I thought that the thing that's important about a stove is the rings that burn on a stove, the actual cooking rings. So I thought if I made something that was generally abstract and it became a sculptural shape, then it would be much better. So I've hidden the gas rings underneath my own screen, and you can cook perfectly well on top, but at the same time it's not evidently a cooking machine. It's just a sculpture. I like this sort of straight block of white marble. Always make our kitchen cupboards disappear into the walls. Again, no handles, nothing. We try to make it so that the tops of the cupboards always line up very nicely. And I love the interiors because I always do my interiors in very, very bright colours. I like the sort of surprise that when you open something, you get a sort of shock. I've lived in this house for about 3 years. Before that, I lived in a fantastic house in South London, quite like this house, same kind of space, where I lived with Richard and Emma, two friends of mine, and he was a film director, or film writer really, and he wrote the film Notting Hill, which is part of the history of this house. He used it for the front door for this film, so unfortunately I get rung a lot of times at 5 o'clock in the morning by eager Italian tourists or Japanese tourists who want to see inside. For a room, it needs to be beautifully proportioned. I think a room should neither be too high if it's too narrow, nor too long if it's too narrow. The chimney I put in, I wanted something as a focal point for the room. It's not a very wide room, it's quite a narrow room. And I thought that if I produced the mirrors on one side and the fire on the other, it would somehow serve to break the length of the room. And I thought that was important to me. Before, it was more like a chapel. All the windows were curved. They had stained glass in the windows. And it felt like a chapel. It felt like a church. And I think it's such a particular atmosphere, a church. It's too strong an atmosphere for me to live in. So I wanted to take away church and produce the beautiful open space that you got. So I opened up the windows at the top and got much more light into it. And it's become a very light open space and not a church, and that's very important to me. Originally, these were the windows that were in the building. They were stained glass windows, but I wanted the very simple white shape. So I've put these white windows in front of that window, which I much prefer. So when it's shut, you get the sculptural shape, which I think is much better. I also created a particular set of art walls. These are paintings done for me by Damien Hirst. So I've always taken my paintings and set them into the wall and created a frame of light around them or shadow around them by setting them with a shadow gap into the wall. So those are 3 paintings done by Damien. He also made me this lovely sculpture, which is a dagger stuck through a heart. I don't know why. He phoned me one day and he said, "I've made you this wonderful sculpture. I've found a heart and I've designed a dagger and I've stuck the dagger through the heart, and I thought it's exactly what you want." So going on up the stairs to the top floor. I love, for instance, I love my bedside lights. These are sort of the least minimalist things in the world, and they look so beautiful when they're on at night. They all shine with a beautiful glow. They're very practical because they don't go down to the bedside tables. In all my buildings, or almost all my buildings, I have my bath in or near my bedroom. I love sitting in the bath talking to people. I love sitting in the bath watching television. I think having a bath is a very social experience. I play a lot of bridge. I like playing cards, and so I'll get people around for that, and I enjoy that. I enjoy sharing my space with people. It's part of my creativity, and to be able to share that with people I think is very important. And then up here, basically it's just a lovely viewing space. I have cupboards at the far end, which are far too full. I have my books and all my art books, which I use as my office space, really, where I can sit and take all my source reference materials. And I love just the sense of going to sleep surrounded by an enormous volume of space, and then the music from the speakers sounds very peaceful. And so it's a very peaceful space. It's a very open, very peaceful space. And the furniture I designed, the furniture down there, I like the left-hand leg of that armchair. I think that's very pretty. The way that the wood comes up and just holds the edge of the armchair. I don't know if I like all the rest of that bit of furniture I designed. Favourite artefacts really are my art pieces. They've been made for me by people I care about enormously. I think important things are things that show someone else's creativity. So if it's a painting by my child or a painting by one of my artist friends, those are the things that I value most. If there's one thing I could improve, I suppose I ought to say I ought to finish the house. I sometimes am a bit annoyed that I haven't finished my bath top. I've got 3 designs for it, and they're none of them quite right, and I know one day I'll come up with the right design, but it's been 3 years now, so I think I probably ought to get that right. And that's, oh yes, I need to insulate my roof. It's a pain in the neck, it's just too hot. So, and I'm going to do that this year. So those are the 2 things I would do. It leaks a bit as well, which no client would ever accept, but I happily put buckets underneath the drips. You always want to feel that there's a possibility of changing something. And a thing that's finished is dead for me. And it's a project, it's like a finished painting. You kind of want to get rid of it, and it's lovely to be in the world. So it's great when I finish houses for clients, because then they have this thing that's finished, and they don't want a thing that's half finished. But I never want a thing that's finished. And so it can be slightly frustrating for people who do live with me. I've lived for many years in the Middle East, in Switzerland, in Spain, and now in Russia. And I feel that I come back to London and I appreciate it by being away. I think that's why I like it. It's not claustrophobic if you can leave. I think that's a good reason to be going.
Hi, my name's Fletcher and welcome to my house. This was once a large house of a very wealthy man. We're now in the kind of grand entrance hall. This is the staircase leading to once the upstairs and the bedrooms. And This particular house was converted in 1952. There's all sorts of things which are quite interesting about the flat, which shows its history. This is one of the main reception rooms. This was, we call this the Sunroom because it's one of the most, it's a southerly aspect and has the sun all day. And this is where we can relax, and at the moment this seems to be the kind of main room where we all get together. We don't eat in here or anything, we watch TV and listen to music. In the summer the wisteria grows up and it shades the windows. We did quite a bit of work too, it doesn't look like it, but we restored the cornice, which is fantastic, and all the plaster work in the room, and the shutters and various other things. Restored the floor, incorporated other things. I love Danish furniture, and this is like a couple of pieces I've managed to pick up over the years.
I enjoy spending time in my house. I'm a bit of a home person. I enjoy, spending time with family in the garden and in the studio. But the design aspect of things, I'm fairly, proficient. I know what I want, and I've got a certain image in my head.
This is one of the bedrooms. This is the work we've recently done. It's not quite finished yet, but as you can see, this is a glass focal point. Is actually the shower screen at the back of the bathroom. It allows light into the hallway during the day, so you don't have to have lights on. We're going under the stairs now. We visualised that from the beginning, and what we did there, that used to be a cupboard where the stairs go down, and we thought we could dig down and go up through the stairs. I designed the bed myself, and it incorporates all sorts of storage. The view from this room isn't very good, so what we decided to do is to make the window opaque and to allow light to come in, but to keep the view away. It's quite a small room, so what we wanted to do is make the most of the space, so we kept it quite simple. We kept the door to the outside, and the bathroom's this way. It's an ensuite bathroom. The floor is quite interesting because it is laid down in 4 pieces only. So you've got one very huge piece of limestone on the floor here, followed by one piece here, and a little piece at the back, and one piece there. The glass shower screens here with the slot drain. We want to keep it quite serene in here, so hence the lighting and the colours, and keep it quite calming. Our bedroom took about 9 months to complete. And it wasn't because of the building, it's just because I had to go off an on and off project, and I had to get the builders to come back again because I'm a working artist and I need to exhibit occasionally. And this is where I work. And this is our studio space. Nikki and I both work in here, and this is the largest room in the house. At some point, I don't know what it was used for, some kind of ballroom or something. But all the walls are panelled, and believe it or not, this is a very large room, but we've got so many pieces of furniture in here. I've always worked from home. You have to have a certain discipline about working from home. And I think the only way of doing it is you have to have a room dedicated to work only, and when you enter you work, and when you leave you finish work. It's nice because I don't have that on-off thing. I can be creative whenever I want to, so I can work at 2-3 o'clock in the morning if I really need to, and feel that I don't have to commute back home, or knowing that I'm going to miss my children going to bed. I can put my children to bed or give them a bedtime story and then go back to work straight after.
I've been a fan of Wegner's furniture for a long time. This is my ox chair by Wegner, and it's the chair I sit in when I just want to rest and chill out for a bit. And my other favourite chairs is a Papa Bear chair in the Sunroom, which is big arms, stretch out, so comfortable. You just sit there and lie back. What I love about chairs is the fact that it's a sculptural object which has a use, which is nice. It's a double benefit for me. If I wasn't an artist as a profession, I'd be a carpenter or a cabinet maker or something, because working with wood's quite enjoyable thing to do.
This is the middle room. We call this the music room because once it was used for practicing music. Ceiling is original and is absolutely fantastic. In the 1930s, 1935, along with the floor, it's not original to the building, but they're quite grand. I've been living here for about 4 years now, and we're slowly going through it. I mean, what we did first, we did the first 3 rooms and decorated them and sorted them out, and then we're eventually going through all the bedrooms, and eventually we're going to sort out the kitchen. I've got the kitchen is going to be fantastic once it's done. So this is the kitchen. What we're planning to do is take this out, knock through to here to the other room, and then we're going to extend it through. This is the kitchen as it stands. And what we're planning to do is knock that whole wall out and put a bank of glass doors across there so we can open them up in the summer and make the most of the view of the garden. The kitchen's the hardest thing, is try and combine the space. We found that the middle room you need to combine with this space to make it work properly. So that's our plan anyway.
We're going to try and integrate another space into it and make it almost like a living kitchen space. We did that with our last property. It worked quite well on a smaller scale. But we're planning to knock through the middle room and create a kitchen, diner, garden area, which will be one huge space, hopefully.
The garden's probably one of the most It's a key feature of the house. In London, it's such a rare opportunity to have so much green space. This is our main bathroom, which is an absolute tip. And this is our next building project. I don't know if you... Up here, there's an old ceiling, which is quite interesting. We won't be able to utilise it, I don't think. But it's fantastic just sticking your head up in that hole and having a look around and seeing a bit of history. It's quite interesting because this used to be one huge grand room, and they put this mezzanine level in the 1950s.
It was important for us to live here first and to get used to the rhythm of the space. You know, each space has its certain rhythms, and using the space we realised that certain rooms were being neglected because they weren't part of the natural rhythm of the property. I wanted to try and create a contemporary living space within the Victorian aspects of the property.
This is Bly's room. This is the first room we did. We originally were going to do it for ourselves, but we decided it was a fantastic child's room. She's a very lucky girl, and she also has an ensuite bathroom. It's quite small, but it's of the same kind of idea. We did a lot of the kind of main things we did in our bathroom in here first. So the cantilevered sink, and the pedestal, and the tap through the mirror. And believe it or not, it's quite a simple bathroom, but it's a lot going on in it. There's a tap here. There's a light well in here to create light in the hallway. Eventually, there will be a door across here.
Oh, because our list. I think we've got a wish list of all sorts of things. I wish I had a big magic wand, actually. I could just say, right, I want that done.
Bonjour, comment allez-vous? Bienvenue chez moi à la maison. Entrez. Voilà l'entrée d'une typique maison victorienne. laissé avec ses murs tout purs. Comme vous pouvez le voir, on n'est pas très décor. Donc en fait, on a laissé la peau intérieure et on l'a remplie d'objets. Donc on n'a jamais pensé à un esprit vraiment décoratif. Il y a 12 ans, on est venu ici, on habitait à Munich avant. On a cherché Chelsea, Fulham. C'est le quartier que je connaissais bien et en plus j'ai plein de copains qui habitent autour, alors c'était l'endroit classique. Le film Notting Hill n'était pas encore fait. Ici nous rentrons dans notre salle à manger qui sert aussi comme table de ping-pong. Et malheureusement je n'ai pas de partenaire, sinon je vous montrerai quelle puissance j'ai au ping-pong. Cette table qui est très très belle, qui fonctionne aussi très bien pour dîner, comme c'est presque 2 tables rondes, on a une communication fantastique sur la table, et la table était faite dans le temps par Ron Harrod pour la Fondation Cartier à Paris. Et ici, nous rentrons dans le salon avec toute la collection de chaises. Je suis créateur, surtout de meubles, et la chaise, c'est toujours une pièce très intrigante, qui est d'ailleurs très très difficile, oui, et très compliquée à faire. Un sofa de Franz West, 2 chaises de Jod, une chaise déconstruite de moi-même, une chaise prototype de Tom Dixon, une chaise de Forrest Myers, une chaise ici de Jasper Morrison. Voilà un siège Kuramata. J'aurais bien aimé exactement faire la même chose. Là, c'est une chaise que Rietveld a fait. C'est la chaise que j'appelle la chaise d'administration de Francfort. Ici, on rentre dans la cuisine. Ici, on a une chaise de Rietveld. Voilà un autre objet que j'adore. J'ai fait beaucoup d'objets avec cette chaise. Celle-là, elle est coupée au milieu. Ce que j'aime à ces chaises, c'est qu'en fait, ils n'ont rien de design. Ils ont été faits une fois pour leur purpose, pour la chose qu'on les utilisait, et ont une forme comme ça qui n'a pas d'âge. Et c'est ça que je trouve l'intéressant avec ça, parce que j'adore donner une valeur à ces formes très très simples qui ont en fait une esthétique superbe, qui n'est pas décorative, qui est beaucoup plus émotionnelle. Des objets, j'en ai acheté dans les meilleures galeries du monde, et d'autres dans des petites brocantes, et d'autres dans le magasin, dans des quincailleries. J'adore les quincailleries. Je rentre dans une quincaillerie, je trouve plein d'objets que j'adore. J'aime beaucoup les objets très simples, qui ont une certaine fonction et qui ont un esthétisme qui me chauffe le cœur. Voilà, c'est par exemple, comme je vous ai dit tout à l'heure, la pince. Oui, je trouve ça, c'est un esthétisme superbe, qui est exactement suit sa fonction. C'est resté comme ça, on se rappelle toujours de ça. Oui, et c'est un esthétisme qui maintenant, tout le monde sorte d'apprécier. Voilà, un objet fonctionnel, des objets comme je les adore, pour leur pureté et pour leur forme purement fonctionnelle. C'est un peu un esthétisme, bien sûr, qu'on se rappelle même de notre enfance. C'est un esthétisme rétro. J'ai acheté au sud de la France, dans un magasin de pêcheurs. C'est un filet pour attraper, je ne sais même pas exactement, je crois que c'est pour les girelles. Et c'est juste un petit objet magnifique. Je crois que ça coûtait 48 €. Mais ça a une certaine beauté. Une cuisine, à mon avis, doit être très très fonctionnelle. J'adore cuisiner. Alors c'est une pièce très importante. Et en fait, quand on est là avec la famille, c'est ici qu'on vit. C'est ici qu'on déjeune, c'est ici qu'on rigole, c'est ici qu'on lit, c'est ici que je travaille aussi le soir. J'aime pas me mettre au bureau différent. Oui, la vie, chaque maison doit avoir une sorte de cœur, de centre avec lequel elle vit. Ici, c'est notre petit patio, chose très très anglaise. Derrière chaque maison, on trouve le petit patio. C'est en fait un endroit très sympathique que malheureusement à Londres, on ne peut pas utiliser assez souvent parce que le temps n'est pas aussi chaud comme aujourd'hui. Maintenant, peut-être on descend. Ici, on est en train de faire quelques travaux. Et ici, c'est pas ce qu'on croit, c'est pas le chantier. En fait, tout ça est fait en styropor. C'est une sculpture des artistes suisses Fischli et Weiss, un de mes artistes favoris, qui ont beaucoup d'humour. Cette partie ici en dessous, on l'a fait il y a 5 ans. À Londres, ils se sont spécialisés to excavate des pièces en dessous des maisons pour donner un peu plus d'espace. Ici, c'est une chambre familiale avec la télévision et tout. Là, vous voyez, c'est une partie des collections des livres de design et d'art que je collectionne avec ma femme. Et bien sûr, on n'a jamais assez de place pour les bibliothèques. Dans toutes les maisons, c'est la même chose. Je pense qu'une maison doit avoir quelque chose de très personnel et doit refléter le caractère de ses habitants. Je suis quelqu'un de très transparent. En allemand, on dit ça glasklar. Je suis comme je suis et les gens me voient comme ça et c'est pour ça que je n'ai aussi aucun problème que les gens de l'extérieur maintenant puissent regarder dans notre maison. J'espère qu'il n'y a pas les gens qui observent tout le temps de l'autre côté. Mais disons maintenant ici dans un salon où on a, disons, une vie normale, oui, ça me dérange pas. Dans ma création, j'essaye de trouver vraiment la symbiose entre l'art et la fonction. Une bibliothèque de moi-même que j'ai déjà fait il y a une quinzaine d'années. C'est que des cubes déconstruits. Elle est couverte avec du plomb. Un bar de moi, typiquement déconstruit, que j'ai aussi fait il y a une quinzaine d'années. Ce que j'essaie de faire, c'est de donner aux objets une valeur émotionnelle, au contraire d'une valeur décorative. J'aime bien aussi faire des objets qui ont des contraintes en soi, où il y a du chaud et du froid. Un frigo que j'ai conçu, on a les 2 compartiments, il y en a un pratiquement qui est chaud, les 2 autres froids. C'est l'idée, c'est d'avoir un frigo qui fait vitrine d'artiste. Ma lampe perruque que j'ai fait moi-même, qu'on a sortie l'année dernière. Ça a quelque chose de mystérieux, on ne sait pas exactement ce que c'est. Ça a l'air pendant le jour très très sculpturel et le soir ça sert aussi comme lampe. Au fond de moi je suis urbain et je crois que pour un créateur, quelque part il faut être urbain. Londres n'est pas une ville très jolie, c'est une ville un peu comme ça, différente. Et ça influence, et je ne peux pas vous dire maintenant précisément là ou là. Je pense que le langage créatif de Londres, qui est bien sûr un peu donné par les gens qui ont travaillé ici, qui travaillent ici, ou qui ont travaillé, est assez, disons, dur, pas décoratif, oui, et c'est un langage protestant.
My name is Sarah Hersham. I am an interior designer and I make lampshades. Just before you go, I have some ideas for you if you want to look around London. My favourite places in London anyway. The first one would be the Rothko room at Tate Modern. Obviously the art speaks for itself, but to me it's so surreal, and the colours are so vivid and extraordinary, and the atmosphere there is so serene that I would definitely say that's my number one place to go to think, have some time to think to yourself. It's just the most magnificently surreal, serene environment I think that I've ever been to. The second place would be the restaurant called Peachtree Nurseries. It is set in an old greenhouse in Chiswick. It's where Turner used to paint a lot of his paintings, so it's really beautiful. The food is all organic, and it's just a gorgeous restaurant in London, in my opinion.
Peachtree Nurseries reopened in its current incarnation in March 2004. The chef that we have down here joined us in May 2004. She started cooking here very humbly, just at the weekends, and that is now an incredible success story. The news of the nursery spread, and it's become a place that people like to escape to. They come here for quiet time or shopping or inspiration. So it's been going now for just over 2 years.
The third place is somewhere that is inspirational to me in the city. It's the parks, because they're the places that you just have time to think, and you can just walk and you don't see people. There are some really great parks in the city that are very wild. They've got various different gardens in Holland Park, and it's very central. So people who live right in the centre of London come here a lot. Around Holland Park as well, they have all sorts of wild animals just roaming around wild. So I think those are inspirational places for me to go when I need to think about inspirations. Fourth place is my little shop called Sarah of London, which is a tiny little shop in Notting Hill Gate that sells everything that I make. So basically, I always wanted to open a shop because I would make things from home, and people would read about what I do, and they'd come and visit me at home. So I'd always have people, strangers, coming to my home, which sometimes is nice, but sometimes it's not so nice. So I always wanted to open a shop, which I did last year, and I thought there was no shop really designed for women. I thought there were so many shops for girls, but not for women. So I've opened the first fancy ladies shop, an interior decoration shop in London, and it's really designed for women who feel good about being women, not really for girls. Because the thing is, being a girl, you're a girl for a short period of your life, but you're a woman for all your life. So this is a shop designed for women who want to have a very beautiful feminine home, and they want to dress very elegantly.